competing for glory as much as survival. They call it a sport, but this is not a game. This is Formula One.
Tonight, we're going to dive into one of the pure forms of racing. I'm a huge fan of Formula One. The other day I was watching a video. It's an interesting POV cockpit view of Carlos Sainz. When I watched the video, right, I couldn't understand what the race engineer and the driver was speaking. At that specific moment, I thought to myself, wait a minute, maybe there's so many other people like me who don't understand what's going on in this video. So I thought maybe I could just do a breakdown video, breaking down a strategy by Carlos Sainz, who used to be a driver for Ferrari, who's now currently with Williams Racing team. It's sponsored by Atlassian and many other companies. He made the switch to Williams Racing, or Ferrari had to drop Carlos Sainz in order to get Lewis Hamilton in Ferrari team. There's nothing like the thrill of Formula One car. The speed at which these cars travel is insane, making split-second changes in the pit lanes, and in the heat of the moment you make some certain calls that could make or break your race. I was always fascinated by the way it was built, the technology that's behind it, how the teams are funding. It's so hard to become an F1 race driver. It's so marginal. It's like tiny. It's like super tiny. You can even become an astronaut. I don't think you could become an F1 driver. Even if you start now, 25, 26, you're gone. Unless you have super rich dad who can fund the entire racing team. Even thinking about sitting in those driver's seats, it's so marginal. You can even try to go to space, but I don't think you will be able to get into an F1 car and drive in one of those beasts. Like a professional driver like Carlos Sainz, who has so much experience, a really good team with a good strategy, combine them and then they play to their strengths to win or score double points. Buckle up. This is where raw speed meets razor sharp tactics in Formula One. So this is the order. So Carlos Sainz was leading the race. Right behind him was Lando Norris. And behind them was the two Mercedes, Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris' car is slower than Carlos Sainz. But if these two stick together and maintain a 1 second gap, then they can activate DRS together and then they can move faster than the two Mercedes car behind them. So Carlos Sainz slowed down and he maintained a gap of 0.8 seconds with Lando Norris. Those two can then have a short burst, take a bigger leap in front of the Mercedes cars. Without going too deep, there was a masterclass driving of Carlos Sainz in 2023 Singapore Grand Prix. So they want to repeat the same thing that happened in Marina Bay Singapore Grand Prix. They want to do the same thing here in Williams Racing. So Albon can get an advantage, get ahead, increase the gap between Carlos, Albon and Hadjar. Hadjar is right behind Albon, does not have the pace, but Carlos has some pace. And Carlos Sainz is slowing down to catch up with Albon and maintain the 1 second gap, which is when you can activate the DRS. As long as the gap is between a second between the two cars, they can activate the DRS and they can shoot off. Okay, so basically what's happening here is Carlos Sainz is speaking to his race engineer and they're having a discussion. They want to know everyone's pace. They want to know how fast everyone is and where everyone are in the racetrack. So Carlos Sainz has been given some information about Hadjar, who's chasing Williams Racing cars. So Carlos Sainz, Albon, and Hadjar. Hadjar is speeding up and catching up to Albon. So Carlos Sainz is trying to slow down. So that's why he wants to know updates on constant repeats. 33.5 means that's 1 minute, 33 seconds, and 5 milliseconds.
That's Alex.
Trying to protect Alex.
I think if we push, he doesn't touch us.
What they mean by try to protect Alex is they want Carlos Sainz to slow down so Albon can catch up and they can get into that 1 second gap. That's when they can activate the DRS. So those two can have a short burst and have a speed boost, increase the gap between Albon and Hadjar. Carlos Sainz has got natural pace and he's been told to reduce the pace by 1 second or within the 1 second so Alex can catch up and use a DRS boost. So DRS stands for drag reduction system. It's pretty much where there's like a small flap that opens up and then that removes the aerodynamic drag. So it gives you like instant boost or like a 10 to 15 kilometer boost.
I think you're being paranoid. If you want me, I do it, sir. We have to take your place to the waiter.
Okay, so what they mean by that, instead of getting Carlos to push as hard as possible, they're trying to get him to reduce his natural pace. So he needs to maintain 33.5, which is a minute and 33 seconds and 5 milliseconds per lap. Like the driving is so precise and there's a ticking stopwatch in your head.
I do 33.6. I get Alex out of my DRS.
Okay, so what they mean by that is, so he has to reduce the time to 33.5. That's when he can get Alex into the DRS zone. So which means he needs to reduce the natural pace so that Alex Albon can catch up and they both can maintain that. They both can maintain the gap and then extend the gap between from the car behind. There you go. You can see how Alex Albon, which is number 23, the helmet, is saying, he's acknowledging the help that was given by Carlos Sainz. There you go. He's asking Carlos Sainz to slow up a little bit, which is not really fair, and Carlos Sainz need not have to slow down for his teammate to catch up. But I said teammate. There's no I in team. That's what exactly is happening here. Carlos Sainz is slowing down so Albon can catch up and they can enter, or they can get Albon to turn on his DRS once he gets in with that 1 second gap. So those two cars can pull away and score a double point. There you go. In this exact moment you can see Carlos Sainz is ahead of Alex Albon, and Alex Albon is exactly maintaining 1 second gap with DRS. So that means if he maintains the second gap in that straight exact zone where you can activate DRS, Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz can just have a massive lead with a 10 to 15 kilometer boost. If another car is right behind Alex Albon and maintaining another same 1 second gap, they can form a DRS train. So all three cars can speed up or pull away from the fourth car if he's not maintaining that 1 second gap. So that's what they're trying to do. So the same thing happened, Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz. Even though Ferrari and McLaren, Lando Norris is not the teammate for Carlos Sainz. Those two made up a pact. They came up with a really fascinating strategy where they will maintain a gap that's less than a second, which was 0.8 seconds. So those two cars can pull away faster and leave the two Mercedes behind. But again, the Mercedes can also activate the DRS if those two cars maintain a 1 second gap. So, but if that makes sense, it's like, you know, they maintain like a DRS train. See, that's all Carlos Sainz wants to know. He just wants to know if he's with DRS or not with DRS. Because if he's with DRS, he's within that 1 second gap. He doesn't need to know how time. So that's what Carlos Sainz is saying, it's redundant. I don't need to know the exact numbers. I just want to know if he's with DRS or not DRS. 9 means full throttle, game on. Turn on the batteries to the full power mode. What are the power they have, the powertrains inside that car? Everything is full. Basically what that means is mode 9, so that's the highest peak performance of the car. So they're using all the tires, all the power, all the battery power to get the car at its top speed. That's what it says. Mode 9, Alex 0.7, which means they're maintaining the gap of 0.7. Once again, mode 9, and opening your last lap. So they're about to start their last lap now. Okay, so you can see now Carlos Sainz, which is 55, he's about to enter the DRS zone. You can see how it's a straight line. However, there's a concerned tone in the race engineer's voice. So Alex is 1.3, which means he's not within that 1 second DRS gap. Alex cannot use his DRS, but it's okay. It's the last lap, and Carlos Sainz knows I know Alex Albon's right behind me and he's not going to be overtaken by Hajar, who's in the Red Bull. So Carlos Sainz, he's still racing. He still needs to get a good time or a decent time, so he just starts pulling away.
What's he doing?
Whoa, what's going on here? Albon's confused. What the hell? The gap is changing. It's like now he's going back to his original pace where he's pulling away from Albon, which means Albon cannot use his DRS. He needs to catch up to Carlos Sainz. Albon's car does not produce that much pace as much as Carlos' car is producing.
Taking the flag.
There you go. You can see how Carlos Sainz is just taking the flag, P8.
P8. Great job. P8, P9. Great teamwork on his last lap. Good management, really well done.
You can hear the race engineer congratulates Carlos for the win, and now you can hear the team principal is now chatting with Carlos Sainz. There you go. And that's it. And that's how Carlos Sainz secured a P8 and Alex Albon secured a position P9. Together, the team played so well. It's a masterclass, amazing finish. It's really amazing to see how Williams Racing using 400 plus IQ to score double points in Saudi Arabia Grand Prix.